taking notes from nobody.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly.
All right, welcome into Celtics Postgame Live, everybody. I'm Justin Lowe. Alongside with me, I have Seamus Darlingo, a.k.a. Celtics Every Day, and I also have Ian Angelo. You might know him from TikTok. Guys, Celtics earned their seventh straight win behind a second-half run at 108-100 over the six-seeded Denver Nuggets out in the Western Conference. We know that they're missing a couple guys, but that's not really an excuse for them because they've been able to string together some really, really, really good basketball this season. Guys, first and foremost, before we dive in depth, how about let's quick reactions, quick opinions before we move on to the serious and professional breakdown of this game.
Derrick,
We are going to the NBA Finals.
we are winning. No, we're not going to the NBA Finals. We're winning the NBA Finals. I don't know what you're talking about. Derrick White is going to be the MVP of the league, and he is now the greatest Celtic of all time. Nikola Jokic is a fraud MVP.
Jokic is so good.
Now I'm just saying things to say things, but no. In reality, tonight was a great game. It wasn't a pretty game. No one said it was a pretty game, but they won anyway, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, tonight's game, this was the game that you'd like to see the Celtics pull out, and also 7-game winning streak now. I think we all forgot about the winning streak during the trade deadline, but 7 games in a row now the Celtics have won. I never thought we'd see a winning streak like this during the season, and tonight's game, throughout the game, it really seemed like this was a game that the Celtics were going to drop. This is the typical game that we've seen out of this team all season long, that the Celtics typically go in and falter in, especially stretch. And tonight, they pulled out a tough, gritty win, which I believe, yes, they only held the Nuggets to 100 points tonight. The talk around the Celtics this whole season has been, can they do it offensively? We know they're an elite defensive team, but can they do it offensively? However, tonight, even during the stretches of lulls on the offensive end of the floor for the Celtics, they were getting after it defensively, and that's the side of the ball that won them this game tonight. And moving forward, I'm looking forward to see the Celtics team for the rest of the season, especially now with Derrick White and Daniel Tice presumably in the lineup, because this team is about to be a defensive menace for the rest of the way. And tonight was only the start, and I believe that we're going to see it. I can't wait for this game against the Atlanta Hawks whenever we play them. I don't know if it's next or the next 2 games from now, but that's a team we always struggle with to match offensively. However, now if you're going into that match, I think we have the defensive horses to now contain them, and that's going to be a matchup that I would think you would gauge this team from, and even tonight's matchup was a good matchup to gauge this team. It was just a solid win overall for the Celtics, and they're only going to get better moving forward. Daniel Tice is going to come into the rotation, and they're only going to get better. So this was a really, really good start and a nice extension of what we've already seen these past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think it was like really, really, really exciting. This is okay. So Seamus, you and I were talking about this before we went. We were talking about this off camera. This game was like a roller coaster of emotions, at least for me. Like 1 second, I was hyped. I was like, this is like the best. Like this is like the best we've played all season. And then there are moments where it's like you just want to grab your hair and tug it out of your head. And it's like, dude, what are we doing? Jaylen Brown, I love you. I absolutely love you, but you didn't have a strong game tonight. I felt like every time Jaylen Brown took it into the lane, it was either stripped or he just absolutely missed the layup and fumbled it. You do have games like that, especially, you can afford to have games like that when you have guys like Derrick White, Grant Williams stepping up in his place. And was it a roller coaster of emotions for you guys? Because I just feel like one possession, the Celtics looked really, really well. And then the next possession, Jokic would come down and hit his ridiculous rainbow jump shot. And I was everywhere.
Oh my God, dude. I don't think I've had this much emotion watching the game Celtics play in a while. What? Can you guys hear me? Hang on.
You're kind of quiet, but we can hear you, but you're quiet. Now it's gone. Seamus, do you want to go while he figures out how to get the winner back? Oh, there we go.
There it is. There it is.
I got it. Sorry. Technical difficulties. Sorry. Anyway, Celtics played great. I mean, well, they didn't play great, let's be honest. But anyway, yes, this game was giving me a heart attack. I mean, I was about like having a migraine halfway through the fourth quarter. Like, this team, they did not play a great game all around, but they stepped up when they needed to, and they had a huge fourth quarter where, I mean, Seamus said it earlier, this is a game the Celtics normally lose, at least in the beginning of the year. This was, I mean, granted, we are on a win streak, but this is the first time we've played like an actually good team, and we won. Somehow, some way, we got it done with defense and timely clutch plays in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was huge. Down the stretch, this is, like I said earlier, and this is a game Celtics typically lose. And this is why I feel we've turned the corner the last couple of weeks, or these past 7 in which we won, is there have been moments throughout these past couple of weeks that we could definitely rolled over, have gone home with the loss. We could have came on here and said, oh, this is another bad loss for the Celtics. And they really shed that side of them in the past couple of weeks. And especially tonight against the Denver Nuggets, against the reigning MVP, that's typically a matchup they go, this is a matchup the Celtics get burned in. They're a really, really good player, and they just cannot contain them. Yet tonight, they forced 21 turnovers, I believe it was the number at the end of the night. The Celtics forced 21 turnovers on the Nuggets, and they were able to capitalize from that throughout the game, and especially down the stretch. And also, too, the Celtics, they were not good from the line at all, from the charity stripe free throw line. However, timely free throws down the stretch did at the end there, and timely stops as well. And that is what I see out of the Celtics moving forward, getting them hitting timely shots, them hitting timely free throws, and closing out games. The last component, we've seen them improve in other areas of the game. We've seen them now shed that side of themselves where, they can't start out games that well, and they can't do this. Well, now the last thing for them is to constantly on offense, but number 2, close out games. And tonight, that was the first part of what hopefully is a really good stretch moving forward.
Yeah, I want to talk about really good stretches. Tonight's our player spotlight. Look, we're gonna get to somebody else that I'm sure you Celtics fans really want to talk about. But tonight, Robert Williams absolutely did everything totally right tonight. 15 points, 16 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 assists, 3 blocks, doing a little bit of everything on both ends of the floor. Came up with a couple game-saving blocks. Played tremendous defense. He actually played off ball on Jokic all night, but when it came down when it mattered most, he did end up playing Jokic in that matchup. What did we think about Robert Williams tonight, Ian? Because we'll talk about Derrick White. Don't worry, everybody. But Robert Williams tonight was phenomenal.
Yes, Robert Williams. Now, I mean, he was a menace on the boards tonight. And, I mean, I said this at halftime, and it was something that was really important. I mean, Jokic is an amazing player, but he was not great when it came to the Celtics driving the basket and getting inside. Anytime Robert Williams was open in the dunker spot, the Celtics threw it up, and he converted basically every time. He had an amazing game tonight, and he had 10 defensive rebounds and 6 offensive rebounds, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we've been saying this for a while. When Rob is healthy, he is probably our best defender. And he is such an important part to this team. And he showed it against Jokic tonight. He played a great game.
Robert Williams, I just look at this player and I go, if he is here for the next 10 years, I feel very confident about our ability to continuously make runs in the postseason and maybe even further down the line win a championship. Because this guy, he's like a security blanket. He's like a security blanket for Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. Sometimes both Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, we know how much they handle the ball. We know how much they like to drive and kick. And sometimes they get themselves stuck in these sticky situations going towards the rim. And who is always there by the rim to catch a lob or get a rebound? It's Robert Williams. He is absolutely dominant in the paint, just above the rim, really. No one can match him above the rim. There's really not a player in the NBA that can match Robert Williams above the rim. And a lot of those players are wings or guards who have that kind of vertical. He's a center. He's a center. He's a 6'9" center who is absolutely dominant above the rim. And I'm so glad the Celtics were able to ink him to an extension last offseason. That was really the number one priority for me last offseason with the team, is to get him under a deal long term. And there were so many other scenarios they could have walked down. We could have been worrying about his free agency right now, but yet he's up long term, and he is part of this just defensive juggernaut the Celtics are going to have moving forward. And I'm looking forward to Robert Williams developing even further in his career. And tonight was just another just dominant performance. He has some of these stat lines on some of these occasions that you just look at and go, those are all-star level numbers. 15 points, 16 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 assists, and 3 blocks tonight. That's an insane stat line. And he's one of the most efficient players the Celtics have on the roster. And I can't say enough good things about Robert Williams.
I've just continued to he blows my mind. A somewhat undersized center. He's not the heaviest, right? And every play he makes, he just makes me smile. And what makes me smile even more is I have him in fantasy. So I get a lot of fantasy points when Robert Williams has these types of games. But something I really want to mention, this kind of includes Robert Williams, but the whole team. Tonight, it just seemed like the Celtics, although they didn't play their cleanest game, it seemed like they were very locked in, like towards each other at least. Like they were getting this is the most I've seen them get hyped for each other in a while. Like they were genuinely so excited. I don't know if you guys saw, but Derrick White just had an interview and it got crashed by Jayson Tatum, and he said, "Boy, you look great in green." And I genuinely am so happy about how this season the narrative has changed this season. I don't know exactly how to put it, but we went from every post-game show talking about the same things, even back when we did pre-game shows, and we sat here with a straight face because it's like we want to produce content for the people at home, but we can't because we're saying the same freaking things over and over, and it's all bland, and the players weren't giving us anything but bad to talk about. Now, the 4 of us, including Rob, are sitting here happy, and the Celtics are happy, and it's been a really, really long time since we've been able to be this happy. I think even during that 6-game win streak last year, it's so very faint that to remember that win streak, and I haven't felt like this in a while, and I think us Celtics fans, and I even think some of the Celtics players just haven't felt this genuine and this happy in a while. What's your take on that, guys? Because it's very evident that during this 7-game win streak, especially tonight, like this was a huge win for the Celtics tonight, and their emotions showed it as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, you looked. They just showed Robert Williams' interview, and they showed the stat line, and underneath it says probably needs to be on your Defensive Player of the Year ballot, which is true because I mean he arguably, I mean, if they did it like the MLB where they had one in each league, Robert Williams would be like each conference or whatever. Robert Williams would be at the top of that list right now in the Eastern Conference. Anyway, but yes, this team is so much fun to watch. They're playing as a team. They're picking each other up when they're down, Like, I mean, when was the last time we've seen the whole team actually be happy with each other? Last year, it felt like they were miserable. It felt like they had no fun the entire season. And granted, I mean, they had a bunch of protocols they had to follow and stuff too, but there's something different about this team now And I mean, winning is basically cures a lot of that. You know, a 7-game win streak doesn't hurt, but these players are genuinely they genuinely like each other. And that's something super important to a team. And I don't know what to say, man. The Celtics are just making me happy. And it feels like a long time since I've been able to say that. But, oh, man, it's fun being a Celtics fan right now. That's all I can say.
Right now.
Yeah, the vibes certainly around this team have changed in the past couple of weeks or the past month. Because like you said, Justin, we were coming onto this post game going, just what is going on here? What is going on with this team? We just continuously say the same things over and over and over again. And they're all negative things about the Celtics. And yet now we come on here and everything is turning up. We have a dominant starting five out there, a comparable bench unit, and a consistent team now on both ends of the floor. And we have not seen that out of the team this whole season since this last stretch here, the last 7 games plus, really just all of January there. After we got past that stretch of New York and Indiana and Orlando, where we almost dropped a couple of those games, dropped a 25-plus point lead to the Knicks at the Garden, nearly lost to the Magic in overtime. All those games nearly lost to the Pacers in overtime. After we got that stretch of games done and over with, it's been like a different team. It's been a different vibe around the team. It's like a corner has been turned to an extent. And I only think that has been prolonged and even furthered now after the trade deadline and acquiring Derrick White. Derrick White is the perfect upgrade for Josh Richardson. And I don't know if I was talking with Justin on here beforehand or I said this earlier in the show, but the fact that they were able to upgrade Josh Richardson's position, especially offensively with a guy like Derrick White who can create for others and make some of the passes that he made tonight, that is a 100% total win for the Celtics. And I know that there's first-round picks here in the deal as well that's yet to be played out later on down the line, but for the Celtics' immediate needs, Derrick White is the perfect addition to this team. And also, too, Daniel Tice. He's going to be in the rotation, too, moving forward. And I've always thought he was a total professional while he was here. He was one of them. I know Ian doesn't like Daniel Tice. He's definitely scoffing at this take right now. But
I didn't say I didn't like him, all right? I had conflicting feelings about him.
I said I hate him.
I didn't say hate. Yeah. I said conflicting feelings, all right? Let's not
fair, but he's coming back into the lineup, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how this team ascends moving forward because we have a real chance to compete in the Eastern Conference this year. We have no idea. Obviously, Brooklyn and Philly made that huge deal. We have no idea what they're truly going to look like. Those teams are going to be really hard outs. But the other teams in the East, it's wide open right now. If the Celtics still, if they can find ways to create offense moving forward and stay consistent on that end of the floor, they're always going to be good defensively. And now, I mean, I'm just waiting for this team to take off. We're in the midst of it right now, obviously 7-game winning streak, but just beating good teams. This was the first really good win that we had in quite some time. This is a really solid win. We have 2 more chances moving forward against the Hawks, against the Sixers, 2 Eastern Conference teams that we're going to be competing with moving forward. Those teams, if we can beat those teams or go 1-1 against those teams and look really good while doing it, it's going to fuel a lot of optimism moving forward. And I know we have Derrick White too. If we want to move on with that conversation too, I know I moved off of him, but
you actually kind of you kind of started talking about him. So I pulled up the graphic. It was actually a perfect transition into this because Derrick White and not so Fournier debut. I threw that one in there for you, Seamus, because you pointed that out. And look,
no offense
Derrick
to Fournier,
White,
but
no offense to major offense. Let me ask you this. I don't want to sound so negative here, but in the sense of like the Celtics, like without Derrick White, but like, do the Celtics win this game without Derrick White tonight? Like,
no.
Really? I'm being honest. I mean,
probably not.
Right.
No,
and
they don't.
15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 of 12 from the floor. That's 50% for you mathematicians at home. And a plus 11 And he came in. The Celtics were down 10 or 11, I believe, in that second quarter or the first quarter. And didn't Derrick White come in and help the Celtics achieve a 13-0 run, which started on the defensive end, I remind you. And unbelievable, first of all. I mean, really, and I know this is one game, and Derrick White actually, this isn't one game. This is one game with the Celtics technically, but Derrick White over the last 4 games has been averaging, I think, is it 17? It's in the high teens, mid to high teens. Is it? What is it, Seamus? You might know.
I can pull it up here real quick.
Still, either way, and his shooting's over 40. I think it's 43%. I might be getting all these numbers wrong, but I know over the last 5 games he's improved big time. And without this game, without Derrick White, you might not win this game, right? And I think this is a consistent thing with Derrick White. Seamus, go ahead.
He's averaging 0.5 points per game, 4.3 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game in the last 4 games. I do not know if that accounts for tonight or not. He's also shooting nearly 50%, 48.9%, and 43.5% from 3. So Derrick White is certainly on a nice little tear right now, and also 85.7% from the free throw line. I don't know if that includes tonight's game, but over his last 4 games, whether it includes tonight's game or not, he had 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Tonight, Derrick White, that's a really good player to acquire. I mean,
right.
I'm ecstatic that he's on the roster right now.
Right. And look at that plus minus. For a close game, a plus minus 11, a plus 11 is pretty good, but especially during a close game, he was a plus 13, I believe, in the first 5 minutes of him playing, or the first few minutes of him playing, that's insane within itself. But Ian, this is exactly, I know again, one game, but this is exactly what the Celtics needed. And like I said, without Derrick White, you might not pull away with your 7th straight victory.
Yeah, definitely. Someone in the comments just said, with the way that Brown shot tonight, we would have lost by over 10 if we didn't have Derrick White, which is kind of true. Jaylen Brown, for as much as I love him, did not have a great game tonight. He shot, nothing was falling for him no matter what he did. I think he was 0 of 6 or 0 of 7 from 3. He had a rough game, but Derrick White picked him up. Not only did he pick him up, there was a time where, Pritchard was running to the basket. He missed. Who was right there to get the rebound? Derrick White.
Right.
And honestly, I mean, Derrick White should have had at least 6 assists tonight. There were a couple times where, especially in the first quarter, when he passed it to Grant and Grant missed those open layups. And I mean, that just kind of happens. But Derrick White, man, he played amazing tonight. And I don't know, Justin. Is he the best point guard to wear number 9 for the Celtics?
Chill.
I don't know, man.
Chill. I already have a Derrick White jersey, bro. I already have a Derrick White jersey. Bring these jerseys
you
back.
gotta order. I mean, you gotta get that Derrick White jersey today. Now, I mean,
I will.
Those Derrick White jerseys are gonna fly off the shelves when they're available. So, but yeah, without Derrick White tonight, I really, really don't think the Celtics win this game. Derrick White had a clutch play too. I can't remember what quarter it was, but someone was driving to the rim, and Derrick White, he stripped it away from him right before, and it went out of bounds. And I mean, I don't know what else I can say about how good Derrick White played tonight and how important he was to this win.
Derrick White, for real, was just – it blew my mind to see how good of a passer he really was tonight. I mean, I've seen Derrick White play tons of times with San Antonio, but once you see him on your own basketball team making plays with your favorite players or your guys that you see on a nightly basis, and you see this team play every single night, and you see that player inserted into the system, it's mind-blowing how good of a passer he is and how patient of a player he is as well. There was a play where he got the ball on the short corner near the corner from beyond the arc, and usually I just picture Josh Richardson in that situation, right? He receives the ball down there. What does he usually do? Most players try to go drive and kick, or try to drive and finish, right? And Derrick White just let the play develop. Grant Williams cut, and Grant Williams missed the layup at the rim. But it was just that split second of patience, that couple seconds of patience, that couple seconds of letting the play develop, letting guys cut and get to their spots, that is going to make all the difference moving forward for the Celtics to have a player like that on roster and fueling their offense moving forward. Because no knock on Josh Richardson, he always gave us high while he was here on the defensive end of the floor. But I always thought that Josh Richardson was a weak link offensively, despite him having a career-high shooting year from beyond the arc. I always thought that Josh Richardson was a guy that just didn't necessarily create offense for others and only kind of fueled the Celtics' whole isocentric level of offense. And yet now we have a guy like Derrick White in the system. He's going to keep the ball moving. He's going to make the right passes. And Brad Stevens, he mentioned that earlier in his press conference. He's always making the right decisions on the offensive end of the floor. We saw that tonight, and we're going to continue. We're going to continue to see that out of Derrick White as the season progresses and as we come down the stretch here, going towards the playoffs. I'm over the moon that we have Derrick White. I cannot believe that we pulled off a deal in which we upgraded from Josh Richardson and we didn't have to necessarily sell the house for him, and we came out with Derrick White. I can't say enough good things about Derrick White after tonight, and it's going to be getting better moving forward.
Yeah, Seamus, you've been a really big fan of Derrick White since I can remember, right? It's been a few years. This isn't you hopping on the bandwagon of Derrick White in a Celtic jersey. I mean, you've been a Derrick White fan, and I know you blew up when you saw that Woj tweeted Derrick White is coming to Boston. How big is that for Boston? I know obviously tonight we just saw how big, but like you said, the Celtics didn't have to necessarily sell the house. A lot of people think, okay, this guy's kind of overpriced. It took 2 draft picks. It took Richardson, Langford, and is this guy even worth it? Is Derrick White worth it? Do you think, is this a consistent? This is why I'm asking you, because you've been a Derrick White follower. Is this a consistent Derrick White that we're seeing?
I definitely think that it was worth it moving forward. Now, I don't know what 2028 is going to look like. No one is going to, no one knows what 2028 is going to look like. The only player that I would say that really knows whether or not that draft pick is going to be good right now, and he might not even know, is Jayson Tatum. Because if he signs another deal with the Celtics past 2026, that pick is not going to be something that we should be worrying about. That's a pick swap. Say San Antonio is worse than us that year, even if we are bad. Say we have, the 10th best odds in the draft and they have the 5th best odds. That could happen. Something like that. We're good and it's not going to matter. That being said, could be a total disaster. Who knows moving forward? That if we're, a top 10 pick, top 5 pick, it's top 1 protector. So if we get the number 1 pick, we're good. But for a top 5 pick, that could go to San Antonio, and years later, 6 years from now, we could be looking and going, yikes. That being said, if Tatum is here for the long run, that probably won't matter. If Tatum and Brown are here for the long run, and if we continue to win moving forward, it's not going to matter because we're going to continue to build a culture here. And that's what the Celtics are trying to do right now. And bringing in Derrick White does that. You're trying to win now with Tatum and Brown. You're trying to impress these guys now because they could be together for theoretically only another season or a season and a half. You want to capitalize on this time that you have with these players because you never know what can happen in the NBA, especially when guys, like we see with the James Harden situation, guys can force their way out at any moment in time. And so you have to capitalize on these moments. And moving Romeo Langford, a guy who was buried in the rotation, a guy who's probably never going to develop in Boston. I still believe in Langford in San Antonio now. I think that's a really good situation for him. But in Boston, I don't ever going to receive the correct amount of reps. Moving a guy like him, moving a guy like Josh Richardson, who I thought we were really selling high on, because he's having a career year. I don't know if that's going to continue moving forward, but he's having a career year. You sell high on him. You give up a first-round draft pick this year, in which now if the Celtics continue to win moving forward, probably won't be that terribly good and probably not, if you save it, who are you saving it for? Who are you saving that draft pick for? Might as well capitalize on somebody who can actually do something on the roster right now and even into the future. He's on a really, really good deal moving into the future, about $15-16 million for the next 3 years, and that's per year. And if you have that guy under contract and you have that guy as a core piece, say we have a core five with Tatum, Brown, Robert Williams, Smart, and Derrick White, that's a pretty good five to have and build around moving forward. And that's not even taking into account now we have Tice, still have Horford. We don't know what's going to happen with him moving forward. And say if Peyton Pritchard too develops, that's going to be that. This is going to be a really good team moving forward. Right. And I have so much optimism now moving into the future because Brad Stevens, shout out to Brad. He knows what he's doing as the president of basketball operations. I thought he was going to come in. I thought he might have been too nice for the job. Brad, as a coach, just maybe he doesn't have that cutthroat ability to just go out there and make the correct moves. But, man, he has been great every step of the way thus far. And quick shout out, Brad Stevens. I will always die on a hill for Brad Stevens. But at basketball operations, Brad Stevens, blowing my mind.
And I've put so much trust into Brad Stevens. I was super glad the Celtics kept him in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. I don't want to get into this too much because it actually is quite a big debate in Celtic Nation, but I don't know if Brad Stevens was the problem last year. But this year, he definitely is not the problem. If anything, he's helped the Celtics out big time, and he is the total opposite of the problem. And you're right, Seamus. It seems like every move that he's made, whether it involves a player or a pick or money, has been financially right, and it's set the Celtics up for success. The whole dishing out Kemba Walker, that was the first move. He loved Kemba Walker, but look, dude, we're paying you this to sit on second nights of back-to-back. You couldn't play against the Brooklyn Nets. We worked our asses off just to get into the play-in, just to get into the first round. You still couldn't play. Look, I love you, but I'm not paying you this much. Peace out. They got Horford. Yeah, it might be a little pricey contract, but great leader for this team. His contract's getting cheaper. Then you go to that Bobo. That Bobo and PJ Dozier trade was just a mastermind of Brad Stevens. You even called that, Seamus. Look, the Celtics saved a lot of money. The Celtics have set themselves up for a great offseason, a potential great offseason. Adding Tice, adding Derrick White has clearly made this team better. We'll get to see Daniel Tice hopefully on Sunday as we take on the Atlanta Hawks. That shifts us in. I kind of want to, before we go, talk about this game, guys, because this is a big game standings wise as well. Hawks already lead the season series. Is it 1-0 or 2-0? Is it?
I think it's 2.
2-0. Yeah, I thought so. I think I wrote one. This was at the end of the game. I made this, but
we got whooped in November and then earlier this month in Atlanta. So, but now we're coming back to the Garden against the Hawks.
Right.
Totally different game at the Garden. I feel if we play way better at the Garden against the Hawks, I think historically at the Garden, I believe we lost a game to the Hawks last year at the Garden, but before that, we've always dominated the Hawks at the Garden, it feels like. And now both these teams are healthy. Hopefully moving into tomorrow night, hopefully no one got injured that we don't know about tonight, but both these teams healthy moving into tomorrow night. And this is always a matchup that we struggled with this particular Hawks team that made the Eastern Conference Finals, already beaten us twice this season. However, now the Celtics, you don't feel as much pressure to now match them offensively as you did in the last two matchups because, like I said, now you bring in Derrick White into the situation and all of a sudden we can create offensively and we have just a defensive juggernaut of a lineup that we can throw out there. And I don't know if anybody noticed too tonight, Derrick White down the stretch. I'm just going another Derrick White tangent here, but
that's okay. By all means.
He played crunch time tonight for the Celtics, slotted into that Josh Richardson role perfectly. And down the stretch, I think the Celtics, we got to see it moving forward more consistently because we always talk about this with the team. Can they do it consistently from night to night? And tonight they obviously had their flaws out there, but they pulled out the win at the end, and that is something that we have not seen a whole lot of this whole season. And I'm just so optimistic about where this team is heading now moving forward. And if we can beat the Atlanta Hawks, that's only going to further this thought of we can actually go and make some noise later on down the line in the postseason, because we're finally starting to beat good teams consistently and starting to look good against good teams consistently. And this is another game. I was pumped up for this game earlier against the Nuggets. We're finally facing a good team. We finally get to go out there and prove ourselves, and that's exactly what happened tonight, especially down the stretch. And now another game on the schedule, same implications, and this is an exciting time for Celtics fans. It really is.
Definitely. And I mean, like you said, we can't say enough good things about Derrick White. I think my favorite play with Derrick White was when Tatum was double teamed and Tatum threw that like prayer of a pass up in the corner, and White just caught it in an instant and put it up, and it went in. And I mean, it was so great to see. And the fact that we have Derrick White, we don't have him for just 1 year. We have him for the next 4 years. I mean, You can't say anything but nice things about Derrick White after tonight's game. Going into the game against Atlanta, it's going to be tough. The Hawks, for some reason, always have the Celtics number, no matter how good or bad each team is. The Atlanta Hawks always play the Celtics really, really tough. And I will say the last time Daniel Tice played the Atlanta Hawks as a Celtic, he blocked – well, I don't think this is the last time, but he blocked Trae Young's attempt at a game winner, and the only reason why I remember that is because I was at that game. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough game against Atlanta. They have Trae Young, who is a monster. John Collins and Clint Capella, they kind of bodied us last time. So it's gonna be a rough game. They're gonna play hard, and I mean, I was talking about this earlier. I thought the Celtics had problems when they played teams that are like that, who are super difficult to defend and are really hard hitting, and you know, they're just an insane kind of team. And the Celtics held their own tonight. So I'm excited to see what they do against Atlanta.
I never thought a 32-25 record would look so sexy in my life. It looks so good.
Well, it's better than 500, so.
Right. It looks so good to see the Celtics 7 games over 500. That's for you viewers who might not be Celtics fans, it might be like, what are these three goons talking about? Like 7 games over 500 the last 2 years is like the 18th banner in Boston right now for the Celtics. Like it's pretty big.
Can we put up a banner for this win streak? I think.
Yeah,
it's
pretty big news. And I mean, look, the like I said earlier, we talked about it earlier in the pregame show. Like, when's the last time we've actually looked forward to these games? Like, we were talking about a pregame in the group chat, right? Like let's go. We're playing the Nuggets. I said to Seamus, are you Peyton Pritchard after the Miami Heat game winner last year excited? Or are you Nate Robinson when he jumped over Paul Pierce excited? What did you say, Seamus? You totally threw me off guard.
I said Terry Rozier, the game winner at Indiana in December of 2017.
I
The
remember
one
that.
where
Oh, geez,
Bogdanovich threw the pass cross court and Rozier just came in like a safety and just picked it off and took it to the house and dunked it for the win. And that was a good night.
Yeah.
I did not expect us to win that game at all. We were down 5. We were down 5 with 30 seconds left.
I remember where I was too. I was at the gym and I was watching it on like the TV that they had. They had a bunch of TVs up there, and they had the Celtics game on like the far left TV. And I don't remember where I was, but I was watching it and I saw the game and I like freaked out in the middle of the gym, and there was like 5 people there all staring at me. But yeah, that was crazy.
We
had a lot of wins like that season.
We're here smiling, happy, talking about Celtics basketball. Celtics looking for their 8th straight win against the Atlanta Hawks. Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. You can catch it on ABC. Celtics and Hawks at the TD Garden, going at it for the 3rd time this season. Celtics looking to finally steal a game. Boys, before we log off here, we'll go with Seamus first. What are your final thoughts, whether it's about this game, whether it's about your boy Derrick White, whether it's about the Atlanta Hawks on Sunday? Give us your closing thoughts.
Well, we got to gush about Derrick White tonight, but another one of my guy Ian doesn't like too much, Daniel Tice. If he's going to play against the Atlanta Hawks Sunday, I am all for it. I'm so pumped about Tice's return. I was so sad when he left. I was thinking, man, we really just sold this guy for nothing. We signed him as an overseas player, and he
Chill, we
came
got
in
Mo
and played.
Wagner. We didn't lose
He
it for nothing.
He came
we got
in.
Mo. We got Mo.
We had Mo
Hey, we got
Wagner
Luke
for
Cornett
5.
in that trade too. We got Luke
He's
Cornett in
gonna,
that
but
trade,
he's still
too.
here. We fleeced the Bulls apparently
Exactly.
because he's still here.
I told
He's still
you
here.
we fleeced the Bulls.
We
I mean, Javon Green's
apparently
got a
fleeced the
contract,
Bulls
but-
now. He's still here. But I'm just so excited for Tice to come back because I looked at it last year and went, wow, this guy has been through with this team through thick and thin, through multiple playoff runs, and we just sell the guy for nothing because we think we can't pay him. We don't pay him over the summer, obviously, in free agency. The Rockets do for some odd reason. Thank you, Rockets, for paying Daniel Tice and being completely terrible and basically just trading him to us for nothing because now we have Daniel Tice back, one of my favorite Celtics I've ever watched. And I know some people like Ian. No knock on you guys. Still don't like Daniel. Love Daniel Tice, and I cannot wait for his return.
Whoa! What do you mean, you guys? I have a Daniel Tice jersey.
Oh,
you
I didn't mean you guys.
He said,
No.
he said
I
guys
meant
like me. He said guys like me.
Oh,
yeah. Like
okay. All right.
fans out there. Fans out. It's okay to have an opinion about a player. You cannot like a player. It's fine.
But before Seamus slanders me anymore and I have to listen to this blasphemy, I'm willing to give Daniel Tice another chance, okay? I'm having an open mind about Daniel Tice again. He was not one of my favorite players when he was here.
You know what you sound like? Please, you sound like the refs, like getting held at like getting held hostage. Like, I'm willing to give Daniel Tice a 7th foul so he can continue playing in the game.
Man.
Dude.
I mean, I swear to God. I mean, it would not shock me if Daniel Tice had 2 fouls when he originally comes in. I know that was a meme, but I'm not gonna lie to you. It wouldn't shock me if that happened. But yes, I'm willing to give Daniel Tice a chance. I'm excited to see what he can do with this team now that he's not relied on as the main center of this team. And I think that was another reason why I had a strong feeling about him, because he was our number 1 center, and that was not a fun time sometimes to watch when he had to play guys like Embiid or he had to play guys, like Giannis. But I mean, in general, it's a clean slate. It's Daniel Tice's second go around here. I'm willing to give Daniel Tice another chance, and if he plays well on Sunday, it gives Seamus an excuse to slander me even more about how I didn't like Daniel Tice. So
something.
I didn't mean to slander you, my guy. I'm just standing up for my guy Daniel Tice.
I know.
Look. Here's what I'm gonna say. Something I really liked about Daniel Tice, and I said this because I put out like a huge thank you when he got traded, because I absolutely loved Daniel Tice. I thought he was everything. I thought he was fantastic. And something I wrote when I had typed that out was, Daniel Tice went from this 3rd string center who barely saw minutes. I mean, he was seeing minutes at the time. Who was he behind when he was like a rookie?
He was behind Aaron Baines and
Al Horford. You can even throw in Marcus Morris at times. And then he gradually worked his way up. Unfortunately, Rob Williams was out with so many injuries at the time, so he got time over Rob Williams, Al Horford, and then he really solidified himself when Horford left. And that year, that 2020 year, I thought he had a phenomenal year, and that was the bubble year, the year before he was traded. And I really, 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 really enjoyed his progression. And first of all, he is such an upgrade from Enes Freedom and Bruno Fernando combined. Like, it's not even funny. On both ends of the floor. Like, he can stretch the floor tremendously. He can hit threes. We're not going to talk about that Milwaukee game. That was his final moment as a Celtic. Uh,
Not anymore.
no.
And Mo Wagner's first
Yeah.
when he hit that three. Literally,
The
that
next
was
game.
Mo Wagner's first shot,
Yeah.
and it was the next game, and it was the same place when Daniel Tice.
But I really am excited about Daniel Tice potentially playing on Sunday. I say potentially because I don't know the situation. I saw he was on the bench. He received a huge standing ovation, by the way. I expect for whoever goes to this 2 p.m. start at the TD Garden on Sunday, I really want them to give Tice a really big, loud hand. You gave Derrick White, who has never been in a Celtic uniform, a big hand. I want to hear Daniel Tice get a big roar. I know he's no Paul Pierce or Kevin Garnett or Larry Bird or Jayson Tatum, but like Daniel Tice put a lot of work and effort in his prior 4 years in a Celtic uniform. So Vanilla Tice is nice. That's good.
Did they play a tribute video for Daniel Tice?
No.
Did he ever come back to the Garden?
Yeah,
So
he
Daniel Tice
came
never
back.
did.
And
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Him and
as a Chicago
Fat
Bull, I
Young
know
just
that.
completely whooped our ass on the Garden floor last
Yeah.
year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
We
I was
lost to
gonna
the
say if he
Bulls.
didn't get a tribute video, then I guess he has to get a standing ovation when he plays on Sunday. If he
But,
plays on Sunday, I
look,
don't know the whole
Did
thing.
we lose to the Bulls?
Yeah, we did lose to the Bulls.
Yeah, we did.
Rob went to that game.
I know we
'Cause
lost.
I
I
remember.
know we lost to the Bulls like twice last year, but
Yeah, I remember yelling at Rob because when Rob went to the games, we lost like every time Rob went to the game. So I told him he was a jinx. That was way back. That was when we first started this. But look, this is a big game for standing wise as well. I know the Celtics have gained some ground on the Hawks. This could be a play-in matchup. So the Celtics definitely want to get home court advantage in that play-in. If the Celtics stay in the play-in right now, I know the Raptors are rolling, but so aren't the Celtics. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. My final thoughts are build off of this win. Like out of all the wins in the 7-game win streak, this win, and you can even argue the Charlotte one to start this win streak. Was it to start? I believe.
No, the
No?
Pelicans was to start.
Oh, the Pelicans was to start. But still, that Hornets game was big. I believe that Hornets game and this game were the biggest games of the win streak so far. Definitely the tough, gritty games. And guess what? This one is going to rank up there. If not, it's going to be definitely at the top 3 of the win streak if the Celtics are able to keep it up. This is no team to joke about. Gallinari absolutely torches the Boston Celtics every time we play him. So, it's going to be interesting. Celtics will be back post-game live right after the game, whether it's 4 of us, whether it's 2 of us, whether it's just Ian in his Daniel Tice jersey. We'll be here right after the game. I'm Justin Lowe. That's Seamus. That's Ian. We're Celtics Talk Weekly. Rob couldn't join us tonight, but he's usually here as well. Celtics and Hawks tipping off Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time at the TD Garden. Catch the game on ABC, and we will see you guys on Sunday. Take care, everybody. Celtics winning 7 straight. Cue the outro music.
I ain't taking notes from nobody.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly.